This is Word Module 3 Textbook Project, Creating a Business Letter Part 2. This particular video will cover the WordArt and SmartArt Graphics that are a part of the second page of the module that we're working on. So we'll get started in just a moment. When we left off, we were working with the business letter part of this module. The second page that they refer to in the business letter is what we will try to create in this part 2. Now, we want to make sure that we are at the end of our actual letter. So a Control End combination will make sure that our cursor should be setting at the end of Director of Admissions. And we want to force a page break. And one of the ways to do that is to insert page break. Another quick way to do that is to do a Control Enter on your keyboard. But now you have the end of the letter is on page 1 and we're ready to start on page 2 with the brief schedule that we're to provide the students. So first and foremost, we want to center. So we're going to go to the Home tab and click on the Center button in the paragraph group. We want to boldface what we're going to type. And we want to change the font size to 36 point. We want to change the font color to the orange accent 2, darker 25%. That should be in that column of orange, excuse me, in the theme colors. Orange accent 2, darker 25%. And then we're going to type in orientation and registration. We'll hit the Enter button and we'll type in student schedule. On the second line. Now we want to select both of these and we want to be able to put a border around it. So we're going to go to the Borders button on the paragraph group on the ribbon, and I believe that we are going to, I got to turn the page, choose Borders and Shading at the very bottom of this menu. That gives us a little bit more control over how we want to place a border and what style of border we want to use. We want to choose Box. We also need to choose the 5th style in the style list for the border style. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want to change the color to be orange accent 2, which should be that first row of theme colors, the orange color. We need to make the width of this border 2 1/4 point. And you can see it's drawn it all the way around it, so we're going to say OK. Now, after we have created that entry, Word is going to carry on and carry forward any formatting that we do. So while we're here at the end of, and we just want to make sure we're at the end of student schedule, and we hit the Enter key, it's going to put us inside of our box. And we want to clear all formatting. We've used this before, so that that paragraph symbol now has no formatting associated with it from what we typed above, and it's back to Calibri body 11 point and what our default font and size are. Now we need to change this style to no spacing, and we need to change the font size to 14. And then we're going to press the Enter key so we have a blank line. and we're going to type paragraph. We look forward to meeting you, exclamation point. And I'm going to go ahead and finish typing this out without dictating it to you. Enter twice. And during orientation, turning pages is difficult. Now, we have those two paragraphs underneath our little heading that we created, and we want to change the underline style because we want to underline the words 2 days in this first paragraph that we typed. So I'm going to highlight those 2 words, and I'm supposed to use a specific underline style. So I'm going to go up to font, and if you'll notice, underline actually has a pull down list arrow. So when you click on that, you can find different ones that you can apply, and we're supposed to choose the 6th one from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to click that. And then we want to go and change the color of that. So we're going to go back to the underline, and we're going to choose the underline color, and I believe it should still be orange accent 2, and it is. Now we want to apply that same formatting to another phrase in our document here, and this is where they introduce us to the Format Painter. I would have introduced this to you in the very first module that we did. It is such a useful tool, and it's not just a Word tool. You can use it in PowerPoint, you can use it in Excel, and I even think Access does have some limited use where you can use it there as well, if it's available. So we want to use and capture the underline style that we just added to the 2 days. And so all I have to do is click on one time on the Format Painter tool, and it's turned on. Well, not turned on. There we go. Got to be inside the text itself. Now, I need to find what I'm supposed to use, what phrase I'm supposed to use, and it looks like dress accordingly. So I'm going to click and paint across dress accordingly, and I don't want to get the period at the end of the sentence. Now I have applied the same formatting that I had for 2 days to dress accordingly. And if I click away from that, you're going to notice that I don't have the Format Painter tool turned on. It toggled off. If you wanted to apply this to multiple items, this same formatting, you could have double clicked on the Format Painter tool and then highlighted each time what you wanted to. When you let go of the mouse button, it would apply that formatting until you went back up and turned it off. Okay, now we need to go to the end of our document for now, so we're going to go hit the end button, and that's going to put us at the end of that line that we just finished typing, that paragraph, and we want to hit the enter key twice. I'm going to scroll this up a bit so we can see what we're doing. Now, SmartArt Graphics are wonderful little tools. There's several different categories that you can use to show some type of organization, process, a list, a hierarchy chart, a cycle, a matrix, pyramid. Everybody thinks food pyramid when they think of pyramid. So there are different kinds of SmartArt Graphics that you can use, and Word gives a great description of what each of these could be used for. So we want our insertion point to be at our blank line that we have, the blank paragraph. We want to center this, so we're going to click on the center button in the paragraph group. And we want to click on Insert to insert a SmartArt. In the illustrations in the second column at the bottom is SmartArt. Now you can look at each one of these and just kind of click on them to see what they do. This is showing all of them, but we want to look at List to go to there specifically. And I believe the one they want us to use, and let me just make sure, is the group list. So just make sure you're pointing at group list and you click on it and you get a little definition. You get it shows you what it looks like. It gives you a definition of how that can be used. And then we're going to say OK. Now it comes in really big and we actually have 3 columns. That's 1 column too many. So we'll learn how to get rid of the last column here in just a sec. On the right hand side, we're going to click on this first blue text box. We're going to select it and we're just going to delete it, the delete key. We're going to click on the next one and delete it as well. And then we should have a box around this whole text box now, and we're going to delete it. So now we have 2 of them side by side. We don't have enough boxes to type in, but we're going to add boxes as we go. You'll notice that you can type your text as bullets and different bullet levels in the little sidebar instead of directly into the text placeholders themselves. I like to just go ahead and click in the text placeholders. So what we've got done is ready to type in the text that goes into these boxes. So we're going to type, and you can make this go away if you don't want it to show the little side menu. We're going to click where it says text with the big old square brackets, and we're going to type in day 1, and then we're going to click in this middle button, and this is where we have to type in the check-in times. Check-in, and we're going to put in the parentheses 9:00-10:00 close parentheses. And then we're going to click in the lower left shape for this next item, Welcome and General Info Session. And we have some times for that. 10:15 to 11:45 inside of parentheses. Now, I need to add another shape because I have a whole lot more data to enter in for day 1 schedule. So, while we have SmartArt Tools Design, whoops, let's get that out of the way, you can see where we can add a shape in the Create Graphic area. So we're going to click on that button. Oh, it clicked a bullet, sorry. Undo. It slipped on me there. Now we can continue adding more shapes and more text. And for right now, I'm going to pause the recording so I can get the first column entered, because all you're going to do is add a shape, type the text, add a shape, type the text for that first column. Okay, I have day 1's events listed, and you'll see that as I continue to type, the boxes got smaller and smaller, and you can tell that we're going to probably make this all bigger once we get everything typed in. So the next set to do is to come over to the second column, type in day 2, and then click in the first item, and this is supposed to be breakfast. And it's from 7 to 7:45. And then in the next one is going to be housing services session. That will be from 8 o'clock to 8:30. And then you have to start adding shapes again on that side. And what I'm going to do is the same as day one. I'm going to pause while I enter in all of these events for day two. Okay, I have all of the information typed in for both days, and this monochrome use of blue, light blue, dark blue, and having the white letters is okay, but sometimes you want to make it a little bit more colorful, more visually interesting by applying a different color palette to the SmartArt graphic, and so that's what we're going to do next. So while we still have our SmartArt graphic, you've got the whole box selected, we want to use the Change Colors button, and you can see that here. And we're going to click, and there's several little pull-down list versions. The first one under Colorful is Colorful Accent Colors. That's ultimately what we're going to use, but you can also hover over some of these others to see what they would look like. And you can tell that the colorful range, for example, is just for accent colors 4 to 5. You can't read the lettering on the white lettering on the pale backgrounds. You could change the font color to black, but you know, you may not wish to. And here's our monochrome accents. So let's go back and choose Colorful Accent Colors. And then we want to apply a SmartArt style. So from the More, here's our SmartArt styles. And you can hover over these and see what they would look like. We start looking like puffy paint, if you guys remember puffy paints. And the one that they want us to do, and they want us to pull down the gallery. So here's the More button for the gallery. And you can see how different some of these could look. And even though they're fascinating to look at, if they're hard to read, they're not good. So no matter how neat it looks or how interesting it looks, if you can't read the text, it's not going to help you any. So we're supposed to use the subtle effect, which is in the non-3D, which they have recommended as the best matches for the document. So we're going to use the subtle effect. And then it says display both pages on the screen at once by changing the view to multiple pages. So we'll go to View. We'll choose Multiple Pages so we can see them side by side. And then they want us to click the outer edge and drag the lower right hand sizing handle until it's the same approximate size as in the picture in the textbook. So I've got to look to see where they took it. Ultimately, you're going to you're going to make it just a little bit wider, but you're going to come down so that you're kind of matching just a little below the page break on the other page. And I'm not really seeing where it says it has to be a specific width or length or anything like that. Now, we save our document or save our letter. And the only thing that I see here is that they tell you to print the letter. You do not have to print it for us. Obviously, it's going to be hard to get the printout to me. But just to show you, you would go to File and you would go to Print, or you might have had the Print button on your Quick Access toolbar, and you could see what it's going to look like. There's page 2, there's page 1, and you could make certain printing options based on the printer that you're using. Our printer to Wombat here is actually our Xerox copy machine. It doesn't print in color, so that would be different than, say, our Epson Artisan, or Artisan, I should say. Artisan something else. would print it in color. So for right now, I'm not going to print, but I wanted to show you the print option. The last thing they do in here is something that I don't think you have to do in terms of submitting this to Sam for a grade. But I'm going to go ahead and at least show you those steps on addressing and printing envelopes and mailing labels. And we won't actually print any of this, okay? So I'm going to switch to, right now, my home tab. I'm finished, I hope. I hope I've got this the width that they wanted it and the length that they wanted it in the textbook. It looks close enough. So I'm going to do a Control Home. That'll take me to the beginning of my first page. I'm going to save what I've done so far. Now, I want to select, and we're going to switch back to page width for our view, and we want to get Mr. Caleb Thomas's address information. We just want to highlight it to select it. Then on the tabs on the ribbon, we want to click on Mailings, and in the very first group is envelopes and labels. Some of you may be familiar with a mail merge. And with a mail merge, you can set up fields where your first name, last name goes, and the street address, city, state, zip, and have little field placeholders for that. And then when you merge your names from, say, a database list or your select recipients that they have listed there, then you could start the mail merge and it would address each one to the right person. And here you would have it reference their first name. So it would put Dear Caleb in there as opposed to Caleb Thomas or something like that. You would break them into component parts. But for our purposes, we just want to see how to address the envelope. So we're going to click on Envelope. And it's going to bring up a little dialog box. And you'll see that it put that delivery address automatically in there because we had pre-selected it. Now, you could also type in the return address. If you had purchased your stationery with your letterhead already printed on it, chances are you also purchased envelopes that also had your return address printed on them in the upper left-hand corner. If for some reason you don't have that as a benefit, then you would type in Sunset State College, enter, and it's Office of Admissions, enter. It is 1001 Canton Street, enter. MC space 3300, enter. Novato, comma space California abbreviated properly, and it's 94945. Now, you can see how it's showing you what it's going to look like. For the printer that you're using, it shows you how to feed an envelope in. Some printers have automatic envelope feeders that you can adjust the guidelines to feed envelopes in. Some of them have a tool, an envelope feeder that you have to attach to your printer for it to feed the envelopes in. Regardless, you would want to be able to print your envelope as necessary. And even if you already have preset return address, you would leave that blank. You would just say omit it if you have your own pre-printed envelopes, and it would still print the delivery address. Now, if you choose to print this, you want to verify that you have envelope in the printer. Some printers will lock up in that they won't go any further to print your letter or anything like that until you feed it an envelope. And some of them don't have envelope feeders, so you have to kind of convince them that what you're giving them as a piece of paper is really an envelope. Sometimes that works with some printers. And then other times you may just have to cancel your print job, and if you need to print the letter first, print your letter first, and then come back and print your envelope. So you could add it to your document. You could go ahead and print it right now. For our purposes, it does not tell us that we have to save this or anything like that, so we're just going to cancel this out. Now, we are ready to save this for its final time. I would do a spell check and grammar check. Hopefully, there's no hiccups to what we've done. I tried to proofread a little better this time. And I would want to save it for the last time, and I would want to close it out. Now, I need to go to my Word Module 3 SAM textbook project and launch it. And close that out there. Again, as I mentioned before, you can do this one in or with a Mac. Now I'm ready to upload my file, and I've got to go find it. It has the right name, so I'm going to go down and submit it. And we're going to review the reports. We need to save our report, report number 1. Just letting you see that it is report 1. And we'll open it up and see what happens. Whew, we made 100. Yay, raw team. As you scroll through here, you can see that most things were worth 2 points. And as you come down toward the end here, we didn't have to go through the steps for addressing and printing envelopes or mailing labels because they didn't have that as a graded activity. So that's good to know. We didn't have to do that. And this particular heading didn't have a points assigned to it, but all the things inside of it that we had to do for SmartArt Graphics definitely has points assigned to each action that we had to do. So this gives you an idea of what it's going to look like when you're done. And this concludes part 2 of the Word Module 3 SAM textbook project. I hope that this helps you.